as you get older,
Yep.
you have to look at things in a different way.
I'm keeping motherfucking hands up.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Can I move my phone?
I unlock all kind of strip clubs in Omaha. We don't know. This is musty. This is disgusting at the highest level.
Floyd Mayweather has fired yet another shot at Terence Crawford following the champ's recent traffic incident, and this one cut deep. Addressing Crawford's wild celebration after defeating Canelo Alvarez, Mayweather mocked the way the Omaha star carried himself. If beating Canelo makes Crawford act like he runs the sport, then imagine what would happen if he had beaten fighters greater than Canelo, like Manny Pacquiao, Floyd said with a smirk. Mayweather reminded fans that every fighter must understand his limits. He pointed out that Crawford's reaction to the Canelo win only highlighted the difference between them. While Floyd handled the same feat years ago with calm composure, Crawford, in his eyes, let it go to his head.
Check yourself. Another point. Floyd Mayweather, he don't carry no guns. Floyd don't carry guns.
But Mayweather's criticism didn't stop at Crawford's performance inside the ring. He also took aim at Crawford's latest offering troubles. Referencing his recent run-in with Omaha police, "It's unfortunate and embarrassing," Floyd remarked, adding that rather than making negative headlines, Crawford should have been celebrating properly with his family and appreciating the historic moment.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd, and I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I
Floyd
love you, Terence.
always figures it out.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in
But
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing
great.
about
The headlines Mayweather alluded to began taking shape early this morning in downtown Omaha. Just hours earlier, the city had hosted a massive parade to honor Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez, where the Omaha native stood as the centerpiece of the celebration. But by the night's end, the spotlight shifted from triumph to trouble. According to the Omaha Police Department, shortly before 1:30 a.m., officers spotted a vehicle driving recklessly near North 12th Street and Capitol Avenue. They initiated a stop on Cass Street and found 4 people inside, including Crawford himself. Among the passengers was his head of security, Kasim Shabazz.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Can I move my phone?
Bug Crawford being harassed by cops and pulled over by the cops right after the parade. This is diabolical.
Later that day, Omaha police released a statement clarifying their version of events. According to the report, while officers were speaking with the driver, one officer spotted a loaded firearm on the driver's side floorboard. For safety, all 4 passengers were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. Once identifications were checked, the driver was confirmed to be Terence Crawford, who was cited for reckless driving. Police further noted that one of the passengers, identified as Crawford's head of security, was carrying a legally registered firearm. The statement emphasized that all 4 occupants were legally permitted to carry weapons.
Once they had stopped, Crawford was identified as the driver. According to police, officers observed a firearm on the floorboard on the driver's side. All 4 people, including members of Crawford's security team, were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. I spoke with the head of Crawford's security this afternoon, who says he's still shaken up.
For fans, the turn of events was jarring. Just hours earlier, they had cheered Crawford through a victory parade, only to see the same champion later placed in handcuffs on Cass Street. Many expressed disappointment, saying what should have been a weekend of pride for Omaha was overshadowed by controversy. Some supporters defended him, but others were quick to criticize Crawford for reckless driving and poor judgment. Local outlet KV even quoted an officer at the scene, who explained that the firearm came into view when Crawford reached down to retrieve his license and registration.
Bro, I got a crazy clip to show you guys right now. But isn't that a policeman holding a gun to the 3-time undisputed world champ Terence Bud Crawford's head? What did he do that was so bad that you had to pull him over?
The officer explained that as Crawford leaned forward, a firearm became visible near his feet. That discovery prompted the decision to order all 4 occupants out of the car at gunpoint. According to the same account, Everyone inside was briefly placed in handcuffs until the situation was under control. During the tense moments of the stop, Crawford could be heard clarifying that he wasn't reaching for the weapon. He raised his hands and repeatedly insisted that he was cooperating with officers.
That was a nightmare. You know, future husband, just had a brand new child and, you know, children and, you know, and stuff like that. And to know that I almost lost my life last night because we had a police officer that don't know how to articulate a traffic stop.
That account was later challenged by Crawford's head of security, Qasim Shabazz, who offered his own version of events. Shabazz flatly contradicted the officer's claim, insisting that Crawford never reached for any documents because he didn't have them with him. Terence already told the officer that his license and registration were at home, Shabazz explained. There was no reason for him to be reaching for anything. Shabazz added that both he and Crawford disclosed their firearms at the very start of the stop, as required under Nebraska law. But despite being upfront, he says the encounter spiraled out of control. Bud said, "I have a firearm too," and the cop on his side went ballistic, totally unhinged, Shabazz recalled. He's yelling, "Get your hands up, get out the car, don't reach, don't reach." But there was never even a gun in sight. Everybody in that car thought we were about to die, man.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. You telling me the police at Omaha don't know who Terence Crawford is? Putting a gun in his face? Ridiculous.
Shabazz also pushed back against the reckless driving allegation. He said Crawford himself questioned the officer directly, asking whether radar had been used to determine his speed. According to Shabazz, the officer admitted that no radar was in play. "Well, how do you know I was speeding if you don't have radar?" Crawford pressed. Shabazz claims he recorded the exchange on camera, capturing the officer conceding, "I cannot. I admit that I do not have radar."
In Omaha, after receiving the keys to the city? Huh? Hey, yo, that cop gotta be some hater, bro. Hey, yo, that's like the NYPD holding Derek Jeter on gunpoint and arresting him after the Yankee championship parade in New York City. It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't even happen, bro. It wouldn't even happen. So this cop gotta be some hater, bro.
The contradiction between the official police statement and Shabazz's version has only fueled further debate. Crawford's camp pointed to his account as proof the stop was mishandled, while others argued that even without radar, reckless driving can still be judged by an officer's observation. Shabazz described the encounter inside the car as tense and frightening, recalling how all 4 passengers, including himself, were placed in handcuffs. He said the escalation felt unnecessary, especially since they had already disclosed their firearms and were attempting to cooperate. At T. Crawford's request, a police supervisor and lieutenant were eventually dispatched to the scene. Their arrival helped de-escalate the situation and oversee the remainder of the stop before the citation was finalized.
I think we should just let the man enjoy his great moment. He's a great fighter. And I see a lot of immature stuff, and I don't like the way things is going with.
By then, however, the story had already gone public. Video from the stop was circulating online, sparking heated debate among fans and locals. Some argued police overreacted, while others said Crawford had put himself in a compromising position. For many, the incident cast a shadow over what should have been a day of celebration for Omaha. Critics echoed Mayweather's jab, insisting that a fighter of Crawford's stature should never find himself at the center of such controversy. The Omaha Police Department quickly acknowledged the growing attention. Chief Todd Schmaderer announced that an internal affairs investigation would review the conduct of officers, with a focus on whether proper procedures were followed after spotting a firearm and ordering the passengers out at gunpoint. Mayor Jean Stothert voiced her support for the review, confirming that both she and the chief were aware of the video's circulation.
But they come up with guns drawn.
Wow, he had his gun drawn. Here's what TMZ wrote. Terence Crawford ordered out of the car by a cop holding a gun on a video. It says Terence Crawford was forced out of a car at gunpoint by police officers with tense exchange caught on video, and it's leading to an internal investigation.
For now, the only official charge against Crawford is reckless driving. Police reiterated that all firearms recovered from the vehicle were legally owned and that no additional charges would be filed. Still, the stark contrast between the city's daytime celebration and the late-night police stop became the defining story of the weekend. Omaha residents who had cheered their hometown hero hours earlier were now reading headlines about him being pulled from a car at gunpoint that on social media, reactions ranged from disbelief to frustration. Some fans called it the wildest 24 hours in memory for a local sports icon. Others accused police of unfairly targeting Crawford, while critics insisted the champion should have avoided driving so late at night altogether.
An investigation, but the damage is already done, my guy. The damage is already done. I'll be surprised if Terence Bud Crawford comes back to the city just disrespectful to the face of boxing. Not saying that the man's above the law, but Lord child, what was y'all doing? Gunpoint?
Mayweather has only fueled the controversy further by framing the traffic stop as a defining contrast between their careers. For Floyd, legacy isn't just about wins in the ring. It's about discipline and decision-making when the spotlight is brightest. In his view, Crawford undercut his own triumph, turning what should have been a night of glory into a scene of handcuffs and headlines.
Mayweather, I thought, took on some pretty tough 154-pounders when it was in a young Canelo and a very tough Cotto who was punching very hard from 4 to 54. You know, remember Cotto had knocked out Delvin Rodriguez at 54. He'd still done some damage at 54, and I thought
won a title at 60.
Yeah, and I thought he knocked out Martinez at 60, and I thought he gave Mayweather a pretty good fight at 54.
Crawford's team, meanwhile, has remained largely silent. Aside from a brief statement from his spokeswoman confirming he had no comment, neither he nor his camp have addressed the citation, the police statements, or Shabazz's version of events. For now, the internal affairs investigation remains ongoing, and the reckless driving citation still stands. Still, the silence hasn't slowed the conversation. As tensions between Mayweather and Crawford continue to build, the rest of the boxing world hasn't stayed quiet. From legends to analysts to promoters, everyone has weighed in. And with names this big, the debate was never going to stay contained.
You know, I don't go off of that. You know, Floyd is the best fighter, you know, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Oscar de la Hoya, never one to stay quiet when Mayweather's name comes up, was quick to weigh in. He dismissed the idea that Crawford's win over Canelo puts him anywhere near Floyd's level. To Oscar, the comparison simply doesn't hold. He reminded fans that Mayweather fought Canelo when the Mexican star was younger, fresher, and widely considered a tougher challenge. Yet Floyd dominated him, making the fight look easy. Crawford, on the other hand, had to go the full 12 rounds and grind out his victory. That's why, in De La Hoya's eyes, the gap between the two isn't even close. Mayweather was already a king long before Canelo ever stepped through the ropes to face him.
I knew that. But Saudi kept saying, "Oh, them keep boxing, keep boxing."
Does anybody know where Bo is?
Max Kellerman, as usual, approached the debate from a different angle. Known for digging deeper than the surface take, he cautioned against reducing the conversation to a single opponent comparison. Kellerman pointed out that Mayweather's greatness was defined by his defensive genius, the ability to frustrate opponents before the fight even began. To him, that style and consistency over decades built a legacy that went beyond any one victory.
That's using what he got to shield him. He got a lot of security guards around him, and he's in the limelight and stuff like that. But in certain situations, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Do you like him as a fighter, though?
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
But like his core personality and his ways.
Crawford's greatness, Kellerman argued, comes from a completely different skill set. He highlighted how Bud can switch styles mid-fight, adapt to any situation, and systematically break opponents down in ways few fighters ever have. For Kellerman, it wasn't about choosing sides. Instead, he framed the debate as two distinct versions of greatness: Mayweather's defensive mastery and Crawford's versatile, destructive adaptability. In his words, they represent two different peaks of boxing excellence that just happened to arrive one after the other.
Floyd Money Mayweather. Why is that the option? Well, for a few reasons. One, because Floyd doesn't like anybody being called the best while he's still living. So that's number one. Number two, they have been compared to each other since the fight, because Canelo Alvarez says, well, I think he's better than Floyd. So now they're starting to get.
Then came Bernard Hopkins, who didn't bother sugarcoating his take. He gave Crawford full credit, calling him as sharp as anyone in the sport today, but reminded fans of something Crawford has yet to face: Mayweather's psychological edge. According to Hopkins, fighting Floyd wasn't just about exchanging punches. It was about enduring a mental chess match with someone who could make you doubt yourself every single round. He suggested that part of Crawford's thrill after beating Canelo might come from the fact that he's never faced an opponent capable of completely neutralizing his tools. For Hopkins, that's the line between good, great, and truly legendary.
Pass the torch to the right guy. He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So you're gonna have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
Mike Tyson, meanwhile, viewed the moment through a different lens. Already preparing to step into the ring with Mayweather himself, Tyson welcomed the drama. "This is exactly the kind of excitement boxing needs," he said. "When fans can't stop talking, the media can't stop speculating, and for a moment the sport feels bigger than life." Tyson even hinted that Mayweather's exhibition activity keeps the door open for more. "If Floyd's in the gym already," he added, "why not think about Crawford?"
I could have, but why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
Jeff Mayweather, on the other hand, defended Floyd by stressing the context often overlooked in these comparisons. By the time Floyd fought Canelo, he was already past his physical peak.
For Tyson, it wasn't about records or risk. It was about giving fans the kind of spectacle that makes the whole world stop and watch. And that's the real story here. What started as Mayweather throwing shade at Crawford has grown into something larger. Promoters are circling, networks are paying attention, and fans are already split into camps, all debating the same question. Could these two greats actually end up across the ring for one another?
I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but
On the other side, promoter Eddie Hearn has been quick to poke holes in the hype. He argued that Crawford's resume still doesn't stack up against Mayweather's and warned fans not to crown him too soon. But even with Hearn playing the skeptic, a louder whisper has been spreading through the sport. Crawford is finally in a position where he can face whoever he wants, free from promotional ties. And Mayweather, as always, moves on his own terms. That kind of setup makes wild ideas suddenly feel possible. Even the notion of a showdown between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford.
Fights, later down in the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement, footwork.
And things may only get more interesting from here. Mike Tyson's upcoming exhibition with Mayweather is already a major draw, but ongoing reports about Tyson's health continue to surface. If anything were to derail that event, the rumor mill has its backup storyline ready. Why not slide Crawford in as the substitute?
Mac, you've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
I told him keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Crawford stepping in for Tyson would instantly flip the card from spectacle to super fight. And it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Still, another major showdown might already be brewing for next year. Turki Alashik recently stirred excitement by floating the idea of a blockbuster clash between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. The rumor caught fire among boxing fans, especially after Turkey hinted the fight could headline a Riyadh season card. With Crawford fresh off his historic win over Canelo Alvarez, the matchup would be another chance to bring two of the sport's biggest names together under the Saudi banner.
Did you ever entertain a fight with Benavidez?
You gotta understand.
I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't,
My thing is, Benavidez is a big dude. Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother. His brother was big when I fought him. The only reason why I entertain Canelo is because he's not a big dude. He might be thick, but he's not a big dude.
I'll say this. The crazy part is that he can do better. Big Bud can do better.
On the other side, Benavidez himself poured cold water on the idea, reminding fans that he's already moved up to light heavyweight at 175 pounds. For him, cutting back down just to meet Crawford doesn't make sense. So between Bomac's outright rejection and Benavidez's stance, the potential showdown lost steam almost as quickly as it started. That leaves Crawford looking at other super middleweight options, while the boxing world keeps buzzing about Mayweather, exhibitions, and possible mega fights under the Saudi banner. But here's the real question: what fight do you think we see first? Crawford versus Mayweather? Crawford versus another super middleweight? Or something completely out of left field? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.